Michigan to the dais here. Coach, if you'd like to open up with a statement, and they'll take questions for the student athletes.
Well, I'm extremely proud to be a part of this team and the way they played ball today against an excellent basketball team, well coached, and to see how well they play together, how well they cover each other. Even through the mistakes, they just have each other's backs. So just glad that we're able to extend the season with this group, because I may coach another 30 years and may not ever be around a better group of people and a more connected group. So as a staff, we're cherishing that every single day.
All right, we'll start with questions for the student athletes right down here.
Yeah, so this one's for you. Logan Weingartner, mid-major basketball. My first question, great game, first of all. So after spending 2 years at UAB, how has this experience been in the Big Ten and March Madness?
It's been a lot different. Physicality, speed, just overall, like game of basketball-wise, it's been a lot different from what I've been used to. That's why I have such an appreciation for teams like St. Louis or Howard, those mid-major, low-major teams, because it's hard to get here. So, I mean, I've learned definitely just to slow the game down and not get too high or too low no matter what's going on. And the most important thing I learned was pretty much leaning on my teammates when anything's going bad.
Playing under Coach Andy Kennedy, UAB, very experienced, very storied coach. How has that helped you thrive on this stage today?
Honestly, it definitely helped me with being more, I guess, aggressive when need be. And it helped me have a better ear for hearing the coach throughout the game. He used to yell at me during pretty much every possession. So eventually I just got used to hearing his voice and nobody else's at a moment. Like there was plays in the game where coach told me to cut and I definitely wasn't thinking cut, and first instinct was just go. But it definitely tuned me up and helped me be a lot more aggressive. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Go John up front here.
John Morrow with the Associated Press for Namari. And this is about Yaxel. When you saw him drive and split those two guys and finish off with a dunk, he's already laughing. What was your thought? That seemed to really bring a boost to your team.
Dominican LeBron. It gets as simple as those two words, but also just his aggression going to the basket. And I mean, at that point of the game, we were up 10 or so, but it gave us another boost to extend the lead and continue to, have good defensive intensity. But I mean, like I said, those two words, Dominican LeBron.
Over here, sir.
Yeah, Charles Post, SB Nation. I got a couple quick ones. First for Elliot. You guys have been under your turnover average the last 2 games. What's been the key to keeping that below your average, and how can you keep that going forward?
I say just patience on offense. These last 2 games, we felt like offensively we could get anything we wanted to, and we didn't have to make any home run plays. We could just hit singles and score every time. So that was our mentality going into the game those last 2 games.
It seems like you guys have really separated in the second half. What's been the message at halftime, and how can you kind of dominate in the second half?
We all season long we struggled coming out aggressively second half. Yesterday Thursday kind of shifted for us because we really needed that second half burst to separate. And we're just learning from our mistakes against Purdue. We let that one slip away. We're going to start coming out a lot more aggressively second half from now on. And when they started going on the run, it went back to leaning on each other and just playing poise and believing that we can, compete with anybody.
Gentleman in the gray or to the left.
Wolverine on 3 for Yaxel and Namari. Can you speak to Elliott's ability to spark the offense when he needs to and take over in the way that he kind of set the tone with this today?
Yeah, I would say that he does an amazing job dissecting the offense. I mean, he makes it so much easier for us all around the court that play with him, just getting us easy shots. I mean, we're taking A+ shots every single time because his patience, also his speed and deceptibility, and he just makes the game easier for all of us, and I'm just joyful to play with him every single game.
For me, I would say the difference between his game now and last year is he was more so pass first. Honestly, he's still pass first now, but he's become way more of a scoring threat. And it's you can't guard him anyway, so it's like having to compete with him and trying to stop him when you think he's gonna pass. It's just good night, pretty much, honestly. So if he's having a bad game, I feel like it's not on the defense, it's on him. So, I mean, he's done a great job just controlling the tempo and being instant offense whenever we needed it.
The black there, sir.
Bob Wadowski, Detroit News. For Yaxel, first of all, Dominican LeBron, have you heard that before? Is that new or?
Nah, it's just funny every time they say it. It started with LJ during the summer, but it started clicking, I guess.
And did you talked before the tournament about being more aggressive? Did you feel, especially that second half, did you feel it kick in and your eyes lit up, and did you teammates feed off that when you kind of took over?
Yeah, this goes back again to E. You know, he was feeding me pretty early, and just the ball was moving a little. You know, just the ball was hot, honestly. So I just started feeling a lot more comfortable and a lot more, you know, just aggressive, just because of how the team has been playing. I thrive off of the team's energy, and I just got opportunities to make plays, and I made those plays.
All right, time for 2 more questions, Ralph, and we'll go right in front of you there.
For Ralph Russo with The Athletic, for any of the guys, maybe we'll start with Elliot. Coach May had mentioned that toward the end of the season, teams started to try to maybe slow the game down a little bit, muck things up a little, and led to different types of results. It seems like here, for the last couple of days, you've been able to play a little bit more free-flowing in your game. Certainly St. Louis doesn't want to slow things down. Did you guys feel like you were playing more like the style that you want to play and that you were playing at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, for sure. We definitely want to run a fast-paced offense, and we definitely want to be scoring in the high numbers because we got so many talented players. And yeah, the last couple of games in the Big Ten, it was like low possession, low-scoring games, and we ended up winning that. But we think our play style is more high-scoring and faster, so we tend to like games like this.
All right, last question for the student athletes right here.
Carlos Menares, Detroit Free Press. Namari, going back to the Sweet 16. How would you compare this team and how it's playing, expectations, going to Sweet 16 this year versus last year when you guys advanced to the Sweet 16?
Yeah, I mean, super great group we had last year. We were connected, especially around this time. I think the little bit of a difference is, we just been so connected with this group this year all season long, and we have a Die and Rez, and then we have Yax, and then we have Elliott going down the list, Trey McKinney, Roddy Gale, Will Shutter. So I think with this group, our size, our length, our speed, I think you combine that, and we're going into Chicago. I'm looking forward to the matchup, and ready to come out with a win.
All right.
2 wins.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. We'll excuse the student athletes now, and then I'll take questions for Coach May. We'll start with John here, or we'll start right here. You're fine. Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead, sir.
Right. George Redney, Challenger Community News, Buffalo, New York, and the Beat 105.5 radio station. Coach, I was going to ask the players, what was it with the Howard game the other night and tonight? Your team looked so much more comfortable tonight. What was it that you guys seemed to have difficulty the other night, but tonight the offense flowed through Elliott. Elliott seemed to really make some plays for you and get it to it and distribute the ball efficiently.
Yeah, I thought that we had some problems tonight as well. I mean, there were several times when St. Louis was on the verge and we answered. We looked more determined. We looked more comfortable. Obviously I'm a young head coach, so my only feelings have been a few tournaments at FAU and then a few tournaments here, and all the feelings about it being different. It is like when we went from FAU the first year, especially, we're going in there with house money. We're letting it fly. We're hooping. We're loose. And then human nature kicks in whenever there's expectations and all the other stuff that comes with it. So we've tried to do a really good job of not trying to play to others' expectations or play to a seed line. Just go out and play ball one possession at a time. But I also think Howard played really well. We were up 11 with 36 seconds to go in the half, and we completely botched our last 35 seconds. And poor coaching, poor decisions, whatever the case. And that gave them life. And so I don't know how many we ended up winning by now, but to beat that Howard team that since February 1st is one of the best shooting teams in the country, they found their stride. So it's tough because some nights the ball goes in, some nights they don't. But I think our ability to make open shots tonight was the biggest difference in the discrepancy in score.
All right. Over here, John to the left.
Hi, Dusty. John Worrell with the Associated Press. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
For those who've not been familiar, who are tuned into March Madness just to watch and not familiar with Yaxel's game, what was that? How would you describe what he did today and just how he punctuated with that transition dunk?
Yeah, the first half, we thought that he played an average game for him, and we looked at the stat sheet, and I think he had 11 and whatever. I mean, filled up the stat sheet like he always does. He just has such a high ceiling, and the one play that was, you know, he obviously had about 50 great plays, and man, he's a special player, special person. But to see his growth and to see how great of a teammate he is for the situation is even more impressive. But there were two plays. The first being he had an open court right after half. He had a busted floor one-on-one against Robbie Avila, and Robbie had a couple fouls, so we didn't think he'd even, and he pulled it out, and I think everyone on our entire bench, coaches, players, everyone literally screamed at him to attack. Every time he got it in the post, you could hear guys saying attack, and if he has one-on-one coverage, but also part of it, you know, when he's playing with the resident die, he doesn't have the space to go in the mid-post, so everyone's saying, can you tell him to be more aggressive, and we're asking him to play on the perimeter when those two ultra-talented players are in the game and be more of a spacer and a post feeder and a cutter. And then when one of them checks out to play a different role in style. And so it's not always just as easy to, it's not always easy just to say, be aggressive. You know, be aggressive can mean a lot of things. Drive into hornet's nest spacing and you turn it over, that's bad aggression. So I think he's done an unbelievable job of taking what the game's given him, about playing really smart, practical basketball all year. And that's not easy to do, to play two different styles, and especially learning a new system. I mean, we play in flow 90% of the game. We'll call timeouts out of timeouts. But other than that, our guys are playing off of each other. And so for him to go from a set offense and a 1-3-1 defensive team to a switching man and a free-flowing offense, he's had to learn a lot, and he has to be two different people for us.
All right, back to the left there.
Tom Crawford, Press Pass, Fox 47. Dusty, a couple days ago we talked about perimeter defense and the need for that from Trey and from Roddy, and Elliott gets his third, and it just, to me, it seems like that they were just shelling that, pushing that perimeter shooting out. And could you address that? And was that emphasized the last couple days?
Yeah, I thought our guys did it. You know, with a quick turn, it's tough when St. Louis plays a lot of guys, and they're all uniquely talented, and they all play to their strengths so well, and so they have three elite shooters that 25, 30 feet and in, on the move. As soon as they can see the rim, they're letting it go. And then they have a couple other really good percentage shooters that have a little bit closer to that green light. And then they've got some others that basically only shoot paint touch threes, but they're drivers and they're cutters, and they play so well off of each other. So I think our guys did an A- as far as understanding who they were guarding and what we were willing to live with, and making great decisions from there.
Over here to the right.
Hey, Coach Nate Brown, Jr., Fox Sports 1280, Rochester, New York. What's going on show? What I didn't notice is that when your team finally figured out, just throw it to the big guys, because they really couldn't really guard them down low. Even though you said they had some space that they could go through.
Yeah.
Once they figured out, okay, and your point guard to boot, he's like, let me just go down low. How did you get them to just recognize, just go low, fellas, because you got them?
Well, if you look at our three-pointers early in the game, we shot it well. Trey hit a big one. Namari hit a couple. Elliott shot the ball well. And when we're making threes, now the floor spaces, and now we can throw it in. If they're packing and they're leaving this guy, and then there are a couple guys that typically are off-ball players for us, and we put the ball in their hands because they were the ones being guarded the least amount, and made them the feeders, and just tried to make sure we spaced the guys that have made shots, because even at whatever your percentage is, when you get into a game, if you've made 2 or 3 threes, no matter how they're playing you from the tip, they usually adjust, and so then we just tried to move guys around based on how we thought they would be guarded. But at the end of the day, our you look at the being able to play over the top of the defense, the post feeding, the cutting, they changed up their coverages. So I think it was just really smart, sound basketball by a bunch of guys who know how to play ball.
All right, time for 2 more questions up front here.
Yeah, Charles Post, SB Nation. After reaching the Sweet 16 last season and then coming up short, why do you think this team is different, and what are some of the keys to getting a couple wins next week?
I think we're a better basketball team. We're more talented. Last year we were still laying the foundation, and the last couple weeks of the season we came to realization that we had to change, and we had to get tougher, and we had to play better together. And so we played well against Auburn. We ran into a buzzsaw. We ran into the top team in the country on the home court, and that's the first time, guys, when you're coaching at tough jobs, you're never thinking about home court and NCAA tournament ever. It's never crossed my mind. And here when we were up double digits and Auburn hits a big three, Todd Pitford makes a big three to cut it to 8 or 9, the place erupted. And we thought that was a very pivotal moment in us not being able to advance to the Elite Eight last year. And so we went into this offseason thinking, man, if we can do our work throughout, we need to be better earlier so we have a chance to earn some form of home court. And so we've earned the right to go to Chicago and hopefully pack that thing with Michigan fans and see where it goes. But we're just a better team. We're better coaches. We're better players. That's just part of the growth process.
All right, last question back here on the right.
Tyler Hathaway with Bacon Splinters. Coach, St. Louis came out in that second half, and I think they scored like 15 or 16 points in those first few minutes. But really, it was after that media timeout that you guys left your mark on this game. So I just want to know if there are any changes made during that break and just what you think the overall difference was over the rest of the second half.
Well, they made 4 difficult threes. And look, the elephant in the room is when you play a 7-4 center that blocks everything at the rim, you're going to give up some contested threes if the other team's center is essentially a point guard. And we were in the game plan, we planned to emergency switch some, we planned to get late contest some, and I think there were a couple times when we didn't execute our late switches. I don't want to get into basketball psychobabble, but there were a couple times we didn't execute our late switches very well, and Avila got going. I happened to watch the George Washington game from the tournament. It was a tournament game from last night, just trying to pick teams, and I know the GW coaches, so I'm familiar with how they play, so I wanted to see that, and they played really well against them, and the same thing, Avila came out and banged in 3 threes in transition from about 25 feet, so we felt like that's what they would do out of half, but they executed better than our defense did, and fortunately we were able to adjust on the fly and force some tougher shots, but they made 4 threes in the first 4 minutes, and luckily we were able to score on the other end just to kind of hold the margin.
All right. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you, guys.